Good morning. This is Kim Blaylock with SDG Bible Study. That's the SOLI DEO GLORIA Bible Study coming to you on this Saturday morning, March the 8th, 2025. I hope everyone is doing well, ready for the weekend, and ready for worship tomorrow. And I hope you're ready for the reading of God's Word this morning as we continue in the reading of the Everyday Gospel by Paul David Tripp. This morning we're going to be in two chapters in Deuteronomy, chapters 28 and 29, and then to the devotional reading. So join me as we read God's Word together. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now it will be, if you diligently listen to the voice of Yahweh your God, being careful to do all his commandments, which I am commanding you today, Yahweh your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. And all these blessings will come upon you and overtake you if you listen to the voice of Yahweh your God. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the offspring of your body, and the produce of your ground, and the offspring of your beast, the increase of your herd, and the young of your flock. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. Yahweh shall cause your enemies who rise up against you to be defeated before you. They will come out against you one way and will flee before you seven ways. Yahweh will command the blessing upon you in your barns and in all that you send forth your hand to do, and he will bless you in the land which Yahweh your God gives you. Yahweh will establish you as a holy people to himself, as he swore to you, if you keep the commandments of Yahweh your God and walk in his ways. So all the peoples of the earth will see that you are called by the name of Yahweh, and they will be afraid of you. And Yahweh will make you abound in prosperity, in the offspring of your body, and in the offspring of your beast, and in the produce of your ground, in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give you. Yahweh will open for you his good storehouse, the heavens, to give rain to your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. And you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And Yahweh will make you the head and not the tail, and you only will be above, and you will not be underneath, if you listen to the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I am commanding you today to keep and to do. And do not turn aside from any of the words which I am commanding you today, to the right or to the left, to walk after other gods, to serve them. But it will be, if you do not listen to the voice of Yahweh your God, to keep and to do all his commandments and his statutes, with which I am commanding you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed shall be the offspring of your body, and the produce of your ground, the increase of your herd, and the young of your flock. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. Yahweh will send upon you the curse, confusion, and rebuke, and all that you send forth your hand to do, until you are destroyed and until you perish quickly on account of the evil of your deeds, because you have forsaken me. Yahweh will make the pestilence cling to you until he has consumed you from the land where you're entering to possess it. Yahweh will Yahweh will strike you with consumption and with fever and with inflammation and with fiery heat and with the sword and with the scorching wind and with mildew, and they will pursue you until you perish. And the heaven which is over you, your head, shall be bronze, and the earth which is under you, iron. Yahweh will make the rain of your land powder and dust. From heaven it shall come down on you until you are destroyed. Yahweh shall cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You will go out one way against them, but you will flee seven ways before them, and you will become an example of terror to the kingdoms of the earth. And your carcasses will be food to all birds of the sky and to the beasts of the earth, and there will be no one to frighten them away. Yahweh will strike you with the boils of Egypt, and with tumors, and with the scab, and with the itch from which you cannot be healed. Yahweh will strike you with madness and with blindness and with bewilderment of heart. And you will grope at noon as a blind man gropes in darkness, and you will not succeed in your ways, but you shall only be oppressed and robbed all your days with none to save you. You shall betroth a wife, but another man will violate her. You shall build a house, but you will not live in it. You shall plant a vineyard, but you will not use its fruit. Your ox shall be slaughtered before your eyes, but you will not eat of it. Your donkey shall be torn away from you and will not be returned to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, and you will have none to save you. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, while your eyes look on and yearn for them all the day long, but there will be nothing you can do. A people whom you do not know shall eat up the produce of your ground and all your labors, and you will never be anything but oppressed and crushed all your days. And you shall be driven mad by the sight of what your eyes see. Yahweh will strike you on the knees and legs with sore boils, from which you cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. Yahweh will lead you and your king, whom you set over you, to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone. You shall become an object of horror, a proverb and a byword among all the people where Yahweh drives you. You shall bring out much seed to the field, but you will gather in little, for the locust will consume it. You shall plant and cultivate vineyards, but you will neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm will devour them. You shall have olive trees throughout your territory, but you will not anoint yourself with oil, for your olives will drop off. You shall become the father of sons and daughters, but they will not be yours, for they will go into captivity. The cricket shall possess all your trees and the produce of your ground. The sojourner who is among you shall rise above you higher and higher, but you will go down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you will not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you will be the tail. So all these curses shall come on you and pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you would not listen to the voice of Yahweh your God to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you. And they shall become a sign and a wonder on you and your seed forever, because you did not serve Yahweh your God with gladness and a merry heart, because of the abundance of all things. Therefore you shall serve your enemies, whom Yahweh will send against you, in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness, and in the lack of all things. And he will put an iron yoke on your neck until he has destroyed you. Yahweh will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as the eagle swoops down, a nation whose tongue you shall not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, who will have no respect for the old, nor show favor to the young. Moreover, it shall eat the offspring of your herd and the produce of your ground until you are destroyed, who also will not allow grain, new wine, or oil, and the increase of your herd or the young of your flock to remain for you until they have caused you to perish. And it shall besiege you into all your gates until your high and fortified walls in which you trusted come down throughout your land. And it shall besiege you in all your gates throughout your land, which Yahweh your God has given you. Then you shall eat the offspring of your own body, the flesh of your sons and of your daughters, whom Yahweh your God has given you, during the siege and the distress by which your enemy will oppress you. The man who is refined and very delicate among you shall be hostile toward his brother, and toward the wife he cherishes, and toward the rest of his children who remain, so that he will not give even one of them any of the flesh of his children, which he will eat, since he has nothing else remaining during the siege and the distress by which your enemy will oppress you in all your gates. The refined and delicate woman among you, who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground for delicateness and refinement, shall be hostile toward the husband she cherishes, and toward her son and daughter, and toward her afterbirth which she issues from between her legs, and toward her children whom she bears, for she will eat them secretly for lack of anything else during the siege and the distress by which your enemy will oppress you in your gates. If you are not careful to do all the words of this law which are written in this book, to fear this glorious and fearsome name, Yahweh your God, Then Yahweh will bring wondrous plagues on you and plagues on those who are your seed, even great and enduring plagues and miserable and enduring sickness. And he will bring back on you all the diseases of Egypt of which you were afraid, and they will cling to you. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, Yahweh will bring on you until you are destroyed. Then you shall remain few in number, whereas you are as numerous as the stars of heaven, because you did not listen to the voice of Yahweh your God. And it will be that as Yahweh delighted over you to prosper you and multiply you, so Yahweh will delight over you to make you perish and destroy you, and you will be torn from the land where you are entering to possess it. Moreover, Yahweh will scatter you among all peoples, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone, which you or your fathers have not known. Moreover, among those nations you shall find no relief, and there will be no resting place for the sole of your foot. But there Yahweh will give you a trembling heart, failing of eyes, and despair of soul. So your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you will be in dread night and day, and shall not have any faith in your life. In the morning you shall say, would that it were evening, and at evening you shall say, would that it were morning, because of the dread of your heart, which you dread, and because of the sight of your eyes, which you will see. And Yahweh will bring you back to Egypt in ships, by the way about which I spoke to you. You will never see it again. And there you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer. Now to chapter 29. These are the words of the covenant which Yahweh commanded Moses to cut with the sons of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he had cut with them at Horeb. Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that Yahweh did before your eyes in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and all his servants and all his land, the great trials which your eyes have seen, those great signs and wonders. Yet to this day Yahweh has not given you a heart to know, nor eyes to see, nor ears to hear. And I've led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandal has not worn out on your foot. You have not eaten bread, nor have you drunk wine or strong drink, in order that you might know that I am Yahweh your God. Then you came to this place, and Sihon the king of Heshbon and Og the king of Bashan came out to meet us for battle, but we struck them down. And we took their land and gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of the Manassites. So you shall keep the words of this covenant to do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. You shall today, all of you, before Yahweh your God, your heads, your tribes, your elders, and your officers, even all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the sojourner who is within your camps, for the one who chops your wood to the one who draws your water, that you may enter into the covenant with Yahweh your God, and into his oath which Yahweh your God is cutting with you today, in order that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your God, just as he spoke to you, and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Now not with you alone am I cutting this covenant and this oath, but both with those who stand here with us today in the presence of Yahweh our God, and with those who are not with us here today. For you know how we lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the midst of the nation through which you passed. Moreover, you have seen their detestable things, and their idols of wood, stone, silver, and gold, which they had with them. Lest there be among you a man or woman, or family or tribe, whose heart turns away today from Yahweh our God to go to serve the gods of those nations, lest there be among you a root bearing poisonous fruit and wormwood. And it will be, when he hears the words of this curse, that he will bless himself in his heart, saying, I have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, in order to sweep away the watered land with the dry. Yahweh shall not be willing to pardon him, but rather the anger of Yahweh and his jealousy will burn against that man, and every curse which is written in this book will rest on him, and Yahweh will blot his name from under heaven. Then Yahweh will separate him out for adversity from all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant which are written in this book of the law. And the generation to come, your sons who rise up after you, and the foreigner who comes from a distant land, shall see the plagues of the land and the diseases with which Yahweh has afflicted it, and they will say, all its land is brimstone and salt, a burning waste, unsown, and nothing sprouting, and no grass grows in it, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which Yahweh overthrew in his anger and in his wrath. And all the nations will say, why has Yahweh done thus to this land? Why this great burning anger? Then men will say, because they forsook the covenant of Yahweh, the God of their fathers, which he cut with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. And they went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods whom they have not known and whom he had not apportioned to them. Therefore the anger of Yahweh was kindled against the land to bring upon it every curse which is written in this book. And Yahweh uprooted them from their land in anger and in fury and in great wrath, and he cast them into another land, as it is this day. The secret things belong to Yahweh our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our sons forever, that we may do all the words of this law. And that's going to conclude our reading from the biblical text. Now our reading from the daily devotional. Your physical eyes can be wide open even while the eyes of your heart are sadly blind. During my time in seminary, Luella and I were house parents at a school for the blind. We lived with about 15 boys who either had been blind from birth or who had become blind due to some kind of accident. We experienced firsthand the enormity of this physical deficit. We saw how it impacted every area of our boys' lives. We also witnessed the brilliant things our boys were taught so that they could do almost everything a sighted boy could do. But there is a set of eyes dramatically more important than your physical eyes. A human being's most important sight comes from the eyes of the heart. Spiritual blindness is a life-destroying tragedy. If you are physically blind, you can forge a fairly normal existence, doing in your own way the things that sighted people do. But you cannot be spiritually blind and live well. Hear the words of Moses. Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land, the great trials that your eyes saw, the signs and those great wonders. But to this day, the Lord has not given you a heart to understand, or eyes to see, or ears to hear. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verses 2 through 4. Moses makes a distinction that is important to understand. He points to a fault line that divides humanity. He says the Israelites saw with their physical eyes all that God had done for them, but they did not see these great wonders with the eyes of their heart. You can see and be blind at the same time. God's children saw the mighty wonders God had performed on their behalf, but they did not see or understand the full spiritual significance of those wonders. Moses explains why they were blind to the spiritual glories behind the physical glories. When you are born, your physical eyes are open. Progressively, you gain clear vision. But it takes an act of divine grace to open the eyes of your heart to deep and wonderful spiritual mysteries. Apart from an act of divine grace opening your eyes, you can look at wonderful things in creation but not see the glory of the one who has designed those things and set them in place. Without being visited by eye-opening grace, you can read the words of the physical page of the Bible but not understand the spiritual realities those words reveal. If your eyes are open to the glories of God in creation and the spiritual mysteries revealed in God's word, know that you have been visited by divine grace. God has done for you what you could have never done for yourself. He has opened the eyes of your heart so that you would see him in all his glory, know his redeeming fullness, and surrender your life to him. It is an eternally glorious thing to be visited by the divine optometrist. Now let's read Mark 8, verses 22 through 26. And they came to Bethsaida, and they brought a blind man to Jesus and pleaded with him to touch him. And taking the blind man by the hand, he brought him out of the village. And after spitting on his eyes and laying his hands on him, he was asking him, "Do you see anything?" And he looked up and was saying, "I see men, for I see them like trees walking around." Then again he laid his hands on his eyes, and he looked intently and was restored and began to see everything clearly. And he sent him to his home, saying, do not even enter the village. Oh, to be spiritually blind is something that is so very tragic, but is so very wonderful, having the grace of God open your spiritually blind eyes. I'm so thankful that I can look and see creation and see the Creator, that I can open God's words and spiritually see the wonder and the beauty of God's word. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a God-given thing, and it's something that we should give God glory for, that He has opened our spiritually blind eyes. I hope He's opened yours. I hope you've understood what has been brought to you today, the tragedy of the curse, but how glorious the blessings. I hope you have a blessed day today. I hope you give God the glory in it all, that you see Him in it all. It is all His, and He graciously has given us many things. Have a blessed day. Soli Deo Gloria.